All right. So happy exam prep. If that's the thing. I don't know if that's the thing, but anyway. Today I want to focus on the argument writing a little bit. Remember at this stage, nothing that we do is actually going to be new. Everything that we're going to be doing now will be things that we have already covered. But what we are trying to do is to perfect them, right? Remember, this is the stage that we get real nitpicky, like we trying to fix every little thing. So specific to your argument or your persuasive writing, right? We spoke about having your side, or in this case, your thesis statement. So if the question is, let's say you had a question about should we have these type of containers that are good for the environment, right? Your thesis statement would be, I strongly believe that we should not use that we should not use plastics, but instead we should use stuff that can be easily recycled and good for the environment. That's your thesis statement. You put that in your introduction so that the examiner knows from jump the position that you are taking. Now remember, when you get into the body of your essay, the examiner is looking for you to give specific details that support that thesis statement. Okay? So the reasons that you give must be in support of the point that you made in the first place. But this is why planning of your essay is so important. Because sometimes we think that there's a particular side that we want to choose, right? We think that that's the side we want to go. But then when we start to flesh it out and we look for reasons, we realize the reasons just ain't coming the way we want them to come, okay? So I'm going to emphasize heavily that when you see the topic, whether it's a topic you like or you don't like, have a planning session. It could be 2 to 3 minutes where you have your pros to show why, yes, I agree with this particular statement, or you have the other side with the cons that show why I do not agree. And you don't gotta agree with it in real life. You just need to agree with it for the sake of this essay, right? We ain't really interested in what you agree with in real life. It doesn't matter, right? But yeah, so do that planning, because what I am seeing is that students are choosing a thesis statement or they're choosing a side, and then halfway through they've run out of steam, they've run out of evidence to support that particular side that they have chosen. Okay, so that's something that I'm emphasizing heavy today. What's the other thing? Being real nitpicky again, because I'm being nitpicky for the next couple of weeks. Transitional words, make sure they're in there. Firstly, secondly, in addition, also, furthermore, moreover, to add to that, on the other hand, however, put them in there, okay? Be very careful of useless repetition. Repetition is a technique when you are writing, but use it strategically, okay? Use your repetition strategically. Show the examiner that you understand literary devices, right? Show them that you understand literary devices. So that means we want to see techniques coming out, like hit them with a rhetorical question, hit them with some purposeful repetition, hit them with an analogy, a simile, a metaphor, anything that shows the examiner that you know your stuff. And the last thing that I would put in would be our what do you call it, like the logos and ethos? Your root. You know what? I can't remember the proper name. But your appeal to emotions, appeal to logic, and those ones. You have to try to wrap it all up. So before we get into today's assignment, number 1, plan your thesis. Plan your thesis, okay? Do not only write a thesis that you like, write a thesis that you can prove, okay? So plan your thesis. Plan your pros and cons. Scribble down the transition words that you plan to use. Use your techniques purposefully. Use your techniques purposefully. What's the other thing? I can't remember the other thing. But anyhow, remember those ones. that I have said. Anyhow, enough chatting. Let me start to write.